Welcome back to the Intercourse Show. I am your host, Mr. B. Today we have a very exciting show for you. In this segment, we're going to discuss something slightly different. There is some stir going on about some comments that was made by Judge Joe Brown with regards to Cardi B, who is a pop artist or a hip hop artist, and he questions whether or not the media is promoting a particular agenda by showcasing women like her to be influencers for young kids and to help frame these young kids' minds. Now, it poses the question, is he out of line for his critique? Or is there a hidden agenda that the media has to promote certain people and certain things to a group or a demographic of people to essentially ensure that that same behavior becomes a mainstream common theme within that community? And so what we'll do today is we'll review first who Cardi B is, and then we'll get into what his comments were, and then hopefully weigh in on it. Now, I think this show topic is important because, for people who have children and who want to set the right examples for their children, you may want to regulate what you expose your children to. And sometimes it's hard to do. Like some of these influencers and some of these celebrities are essentially determining our culture and our norms. And kids want to be like them and want to emulate their behaviors. So if you want to raise your kid in a certain way, but they have to combat this mainstream trope from these various celebrities that may not align with how you want them raised or the type of conduct you want them to display to the public, it may pose as an issue to do that. It makes it harder and harder to do that. Now, let me first start off in this segment by saying I actually think Cardi B is a decent person with a good heart. I can personally appreciate her honesty. I think she's a relatively honest person. I think there's something real about her. She's authentic. I think she's authentically herself, and there's some things to appreciate, especially her story. She's accomplished a lot and probably had a tough life growing up, and where she's gotten herself to speaks to her tenacity and speaks to what she was able to accomplish. So this isn't a segment meant to bash Cardi B in any way, shape, or form, but it's simply meant to highlight some of the behaviors that may come and how those behaviors can, influence the minds of young children. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and start the clip by determining who Cardi B is. Then we'll play a few clips, of her, little highlights, little things like that that she's in terms of how she's portrayed in the media. And then we'll get straight into the Judge Joe Brown interview where he said what he said. All right. So without any further ado, let's jump right into it.
Welcome to I'm Your Target Demographic, and today we're asking the question that a lot of folks seem to be asking, which is, who is Cardi B? Where did she come from? Why is she famous? Let's start at the beginning. Surprise, Cardi B is not her real name, but she was born Belcalis Almanzar, half Dominican and half Trinidadian, born and raised in the Bronx in New York City. Life was not easy for her, so she ended up joining the Bloods by age 16 and becoming a stripper by age 19.
So basically, stripping saved your life.
Yeah, you know what? It really did, though. That's why I would never play the game. A lot of people be like, oh my gosh, like they make it so negative, but like it really saved me from a lot of things. When I started stripping, I went back to school.
So where did the Cardi B name come from? Her sister's name is Hennessy, and Belcalis decided to come up with a name by taking the brand Bacardi and swapping the B from the beginning of the word to the end of the word. She started to rise to fame through social media, most notably her Instagram, where she began modeling and endorsing fashion and music. In 2015, she started to appear as a regular on the television show Love and Hip Hop New York, while she was also starting to appear as a guest rapper on some big tracks, including her debut as part of Shaggy's track, Boom Boom. She then started to release mixtapes, and she was even nominated for Best New Artist and Best Female Artist at the 2017 BET Awards, though she did not win either. At this point, Cardi B released her first commercial single, Bodak Yellow. This was the first single to top the Hot 100 by a solo female rapper since Lauryn Hill's Doo Wop That Thing in 1998. Cardi B is also the first Dominican ever to reach #1 in the Hot 100. In 2018 already, she's appeared alongside Bruno Mars on his track Finesse and became the first woman ever to have 5 singles in the top 10 at the same time, and only the third person ever after Kendrick Lamar and Drake. She also made news by revealing her pregnancy during a performance on Saturday Night Live with her fiancé Offset from the group Migos. Before this, she was in a relationship during Love and Hip Hop with rapper Tommy G's, who was in jail for her entire time with the show for gun possession.
Right now I'm dating this cute young fine thug thing, but right now he locked up and whatever. Thug been trying to tell me that I should leave him and whatnot. Well, guess what? Behind bars he treat me better than you.
People may often ask about Cardi B's feud with Nicki Minaj. Now, there isn't really much of a feud, but people project this because there's 2 women competing in a male-dominated space. They have appeared on tracks together. They have maybe had slight disses towards one another, but this feud is likely an embellishment. A lot of what people resonate with is Cardi B's sense of honesty and her blunt perspective.
Over the past few months, my life changed drastically. My music have been doing extremely good, and everything that I have put my money and my time into, it be getting popping.
Her skyrocketing to fame may have seemingly come out of nowhere, but people following the hip-hop scene for the past few years likely saw this coming. So what do you think of Cardi B? Is her honesty refreshing? Do you foresee a long career ahead, or do you think she's a bright light that'll burn out soon? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.
Okay. So shout out to those people who at Target who did this little quick 3-minute rundown of who she is, just to give people a heads up on it. Now that's just a quick summary. Now what we'll do is we'll jump into the Judge Joe Brown interview to see what he said, and then we'll kind of go with what's actually out in the media about this young lady. So let's jump right into the Joe Brown interview.
Cardi B. How you feel about Cardi B?
Oh, God. One of the dangers about Hollywood is for the last 120 years, since the turn of the 19th, 20th century, boys and girls all over the world have looked to Hollywood and the entertainment industry as models for appropriate behavior. Whether you're talking white, black, brown, red, yellow, the things they say, the way they dress, the way they walk, talk, and carry themselves and ideate has a great deal to do with the celebrities they watch. Now, what does Cardi B stand for, and what does that do for the young girls who will ideate on being just like her? Does that produce mothers? Does that produce young ladies who walk into a room and everybody says, "Hey, man, watch your mouth, man. There are ladies present." "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am." And when they get to be grown, 40, 50 years old, and they walk in the room, is everybody going to straighten up because that's somebody's mama? Is that a dignified lady who is acting appropriately, or is she going to be cussing, acting more whorish and wild than anybody else in the room? See, what do you put up as role models, behavioral models for the young people? So why do we push that as an example? I mean, preachers used to preach from pulpits about how that's sinful and how that's not the way it's done. And they used to threaten fire and brimstone. Now they sit there and they bring those people to their churches and get all puffed up when that kind of somebody walks in front of the congregation. I don't know her personally, don't want to know her, but what she stands for is not good. Yeah, like what? And then see, the thing that gets me in politics now, the blues, they want you to go vote because somebody like her is twerking, and that's supposed to inspire you to vote. What the devil is wrong with that picture? You know, I know some what used to be black female superstars. Hell, I used to date at least one. And they could be sexy, but they also were ladies. So what happened? What made the translation between being a sexy woman with dignity and refinement, class, and what's now held up is a modern counterpart? Looks like she just been out street walking and waiting on her pimp to pick her up and take her to the club. Think of the young girls that are ideating on this. They will be mothers. And what's that doing to future generations? They will be grandmothers, and what's that doing to future generations? And oh, by the way, once it's on the net, it doesn't go away. So, you know, understand in 10, 15 years, somebody's sons are going to be embarrassed on the playground. Hey, man, I saw your mama the other night. No, man, for real, man. You know, check this video out, man. Man, that's your mama, man. Or that's your grandmama? Think about it. What do ballerinas wear? Tutus, right? Ballerina is about as formal as it gets, right? When it comes to dancing. Ballerinas started off as a form of burlesque back in a time when one just didn't go too far, when the way ladies wore ankle-length gowns to go places. And here's somebody with a short tutu. You see, it evolves. You get Janet Jackson does a microsecond wardrobe malfunction with a huge piercing that is more covering than most bikini tops, and everybody has a fit. But then you get ugly looking Lizzo, the hippo, out in front of a Lakers game with her bare behind twerking for several minutes in front of a whole lot of young adolescent boys and girls that are watching and ideate off of this. Things change. Is that for the better? And then Cardi B, what did she say about she used to drug her tricks? I mean, come on. I know we had one running for president, but is it supposed to be a good thing that a woman brags about the fact that she was a practicing prostitute and how she turned tricks? And you holding that up as ideation? That wouldn't have, you know, they'd have thrown you out of the boardroom for even suggesting that kind of thing some years ago.
Welcome to Conga Composer.
Think about it. So why is the American mainstream entertainment media putting her out there like that? They used to not do that. I mean, that was a way to get yourself ruined in Hollywood. They keep it secret. They spent a lot of money with their PR departments to make sure that somebody being a freak didn't get out to the public. It's what it is it's an attack on tradition. In other words, traditionally the following things evoke respect, desire, craving, lust, sometimes respect in the opposite sex. So what are you doing to break that paradigm up? These horrible men are objectifying female beauty. Yeah, well, if we didn't, humans would still look a lot like chimpanzees and gorillas or Australopithecine cavemen. So, you know, we don't, because the boys like pretty girls and the girls like strong guys. So we advance. Sexual selection. And what are we doing when we put that out there? You get somebody who is an admitted street walking prostitute who brags about how she plied that trade, and then you put her out there as a role model for young girls and something to aspire to for young boys, where they get the idea that you can buy this, you don't have to seduce it, you don't have to court it. And even if you did, it's likely to betray you, so you can't trust it. How many times do we get this incel bunch of freaks, the boy freaks who hate women because they can't find one because they don't know how? You see, it's an interesting thing. It fits in the big picture.
Wow. I think it's hard to argue anything that he's saying here to not be accurate or true. I think he's spot on with a lot of the statements that he's making. This is a man who's from a different generation, who's a great grandfather to children and who has a family. And you do have to think, once you take everything aside and you just lay it down on the table, as a man with daughters, do I want to project that way of behaving to my children as an appropriate way for them to conduct themselves and act? And what he's saying is it a coincidence that a woman with that sort of checkered past is pushed to the mainstream as the thing to be idolized by other young girls growing up? How many people would say to themselves, I want my daughter to act like Cardi B? Now, take nothing away from her talent. She's a talented woman in terms of musically and things that she's accomplished there. But she openly, confesses to a certain lifestyle that she used to live. And is that the type of behavior you would want for your daughters? And if I'm being honest with myself, it isn't. I'm sure it's not the type of behavior Cardi B would want for her daughters. Right? How she came up, I'm pretty certain she would not want her daughters to have to do what she did, to come to fame. But there is an agenda to push women like this as what's normal. Now, with that, I have a couple of clips here, like her clip at the Kamala Harris rally. Kamala Harris at one point was paying this woman to come and do her campaign rallies. And this is how that looked.
Now, I took my time writing this speech, so I'm going to make sure I deliver it right. Because I got something I've been wanting to say for a long time. I've been saying it on Twitter, on my Instagram, and I'm ready to tell it to you now. Hold on. How you guys doing tonight? How you guys doing tonight? Are we ready to make history? Are we ready to make history? Are we ready to change these 4 years? No. Are we ready to change the next 8 years? Because we're going to make sure we have Kamala Harris in office for 8 years. Thank you. All right. Vice President Kamala Harris, thank you for having me. I do not take lightly the call to show up, the call to speak up, the call to deliver a message that's been on my heart for a hot minute now. Now, I took my time writing this speech, so I'm gonna make sure I deliver it right. Because I got something I've been wanting to say for a long time. I've been saying it on Twitter, on my Instagram, and I'm ready to tell it to you now. Y'all ready to listen? All right, now. All right. Just like Kamala Harris, I too have been the underdog. I've been underestimated. My success belittled and discredited. Let me tell you something. Let me tell y'all something. Women have to work 10 times harder, perform 10 times better, and still people question us how we got to the top.
Okay, so what you just saw was an example of how on the main stage this woman was portrayed to stand as a spokesperson for a presidential candidate. Is that by coincidence? And then you shift over into another clip, and we'll share this one here, where they rank some of her in-court moments in terms of how she conducted herself in a courtroom. So let's go ahead and play that.
I'm pregnant, and this girl's about to fucking beat my ass. Hello?
Are you disabled? Yes or no?
At that moment, when you're pregnant, I'm very disabled. You want me to tell you things I can't do?
Fine. Which one is your real? Or are they both real?
They're wigs.
You said she's bigger than you? Is that correct?
Absolutely.
How do you know that?
I was looking at her face, but I wasn't looking like.
You call her fat?
No, I was calling her a bitch. She is like.
What? Say it.
Security heavy. Like she just looks a little. Like she could protect the building.
We do not, Your Honor.
All right, explain for us.
No, Your Honor.
Well, are you going to have a witness after lunch?
I would like to discuss this outside.
I'm pregnant.
Okay, so that was the clip, and then we'll go ahead and show another clip. Now, these are how she's being portrayed in the public square. This is another clip of her interview as she's announcing a new pregnancy. She went from dating a rapper to a NFL star, and she's now announcing she got pregnant with him as well. But she was one of many women that this particular man was dating. And again, she's getting mainstream CBS News coverage announcing the pregnancy. She's not in a, in this particular pregnancy is not in a marital format. She was essentially one of the many women this guy was dealing with, and now that's being sort of portrayed into the public. So then it would give probably young, girls who look like her, particularly in the African American Latina community, the impression that being pregnant out of wedlock is normal. I mean, and should be the norm, right? So this is that announcement. Let's go ahead and see that.
Well, yes, I am. I'm having a baby with my boyfriend, Stefan Diggs.
Cardi B pregnant, expecting baby number 4.
What does it mean to be a mother?
It means everything. It's like a feeling that it's undescribable. It's like love, joy. It's a switch.
And that switch just got cranked up a notch. Cardi revealing the happy news to CBS Mornings anchor Gayle King.
I'm actually I'm excited. I'm happy. I feel like I'm in a good space. I feel very strong. I feel very powerful that I'm doing all this work, but I'm doing all this work while I'm creating a baby. Me and my man, we're very supportive of each other. We're like in the same space in our careers.
me and him think the same way. Like, it's like, yeah, we're one of the greatest, but what's next? What we doing again? We do it again. We have to do it again all the time. It's not like we're never like comfortable. We just want to keep doing it.
I love everything about motherhood. It's a new experience for me because it's like I'm up all night, I'm sucking her boogers, I'm making sure that she's breathing, I'm making sure that she don't suck on the pacifier when the nose and the stuffiness at the same time. It's a lot, but I love everything.
The 32-year-old rapper became a mom in 2018 when she and her now ex-husband Offset welcomed their daughter, Culture.
I feel very happy. I feel like I want to work. I feel very energetic to keep on going, like powerful, like a woman.
The former couple went on to have 2 more kids, son Wave and daughter Blossom. But their romance fizzled, and Cardi found love again with the NFL wide receiver.
There's a song called Safe.
Yeah,
Is he somebody that makes you feel safe?
very safe.
The rapper's got a lot to celebrate these days. Her second album, Am I the Drama, drops Friday. And Cardi, we hope you got around to telling your folks your big baby news.
I haven't even told my parents.
No way, Cardi.
I haven't told my parents. They just be looking at me like,
Cardi. Wait. Back up. Why haven't you told them?
because
Why?
I'm scared of them. I'm very scared of my parents.
Okay. Now, with that, I'm going to play one more clip. And this is a clip that I found of her. I believe she was.
Hey! Buddy, what's up? Congratulations on Am I the Drama, dropping tomorrow. You like some of my videos on TikTok, by the way, because I did the dance trend. Your last album versus I Am the Drama. Wait, let me get her right here. Scared to know I ain't gonna do nothing. This party in the motherfucking building.
Well, like this one,
Yeah.
like I feel like the other one I rushed
Yeah.
to put out.
Yeah.
I didn't even have physical sales.
Yeah.
This one, like I took clearly my time.
Yo, Dinga Daddy in the building, baby! Yay! Double Dinga Daddy, hey! Hey, double Dinga
Okay. So when Judge Joe Brown makes the comments that he makes, you know, you have to put it into perspective as to where he's coming from. A man from a different time where this type of behavior from women would not be tolerated or accepted. We're now living in a time where this is what's pushed to the forefront. And if you are trying to raise young daughters or overseeing granddaughters, you know, is this the image that you want to combat? Is this the impression? Is this what you want imparted into your kids? Now, Cardi B is going to be Cardi B. She's going to be who she is, and this is an attack on her. But the question is, why is that what's in the mainstream? Why is this individual being pushed more than, say, a Michelle Obama, or more than, say, a Oprah Winfrey, or more women who've, you know, accomplished their success a different way? Women who, you know, don't necessarily twerk, who maybe speak a little different, maybe who carry themselves differently. It would be one thing if the two things were balanced. If you got an equal amount of Michelle Obama pushed into the mainstream, or as you did a Cardi B. Now, Michelle Obama is probably a bad example because she is in the mainstream, but there's plenty of other women that are great moral examples, that are great spiritual examples for women to follow, for other women to follow, that don't get pushed into the mainstream, that don't get talked about. And you have to ask the question, well, why is our mainstream media pushing a certain type of woman into the mainstream? And what impression does it leave the future generations with? Now, again, this is not an attack on Cardi B. I think she's a beautiful human who, you know, has her own journey and walk with God, and she's being blessed, you know, more power to her. But I think what's being said is the agenda is this part of an overall agenda to showcase a particular behavior that will ultimately end up being a mainstream behavior in our culture today. You know, because if you look at the Black community and There's a lot of children born out of wedlock. There's a lot of, fatherless homes. There's this promotion of having babies with men you don't intend to stay with, and then that not being a point of discussion where you're now raising children in a single person household, and then you see the incarceration rates jump off, and because most of the people incarcerated grew up in single mother households. So then you have a particular group, a particular community that's mainly affected by that. And the question is that something that we can look at? What were some of the roots, what were portrayed? Obviously, our what we saw is almost what we aspire to be like. So, if you're constantly seeing this pumped into your face, pumped into your feed, then naturally it wouldn't be shocking to now see your daughters or your significant other acting like that, because that's what's considered cool. That's what's considered normal. So, naturally it ends up being the case. Again, not an attack. I'm in no place to attack anybody. That's not what this is about. But I think what it does is it gives us an opportunity to assess what kind of influences do we want our children to have, and what do we want them exposed to? What kind of behaviors do we want to do that? Now, that's for somebody who's a parent. Now, you may not be in a position where you're raising young children and you want to impart certain values and principles in them. And so this segment in the show may mean nothing because it doesn't apply to where you are in life. But when you're a parent and you don't want your kids sexualized, you don't want your kids, twerking and portraying themselves a certain way, this may be something that's relevant for you to assess, like, okay, is this the type of influence I would want my daughters to follow? And if I'm being honest with myself, it isn't the type of influence I would want my daughters to follow. So Judge Joe Brown made his comments, and I think it's coming from his upbringing and his life experience as an older man who's lived a long life. He made the distinction. He said, I've seen sexy ladies who are in the industry and they were portrayed different than sexy ladies in the industry are portrayed today. Who is getting the spotlight to actually have a say, and why would those people get the spotlight when there are other more eloquent people or other people deserving of that spotlight? There are other examples that could be pushed to the mainstream that is not being pushed to the mainstream, and why is that? So sometimes you do have to ask ourselves that question. But I thought it'd be interesting to tackle this particular topic because, as a parent, this is one of the things we have to be mindful of. I have daughters, and, I'm sure many other of my listeners have children as well, and they have to ask themselves the question of, what kind of influence do they want their children to have? Again, to each his own. This is not scapegoating on Cardi B or anybody else. As a parent, you still have to be a parent. You still have to influence your kids. And I'm not saying how your kids' behavior is directly solely linked to what was portrayed in the media, because your parenting also plays a part too. But I think it is important to see what's influencing our children. So with that said, I ask for all of you who are following along in the show to connect and let your voice be heard. Maybe I'm off base. Maybe the criticism's not right. Maybe I shouldn't agreed with Judge Joe Brown. Maybe you have a different point of view that you think needs to be mentioned. And so I would ask that you, weigh in, comment on today's show topic, and also, stay connected to the show so that your opinion can be heard as well. So if you're not already subscribed, like and subscribe to the In the Court Show, and, let's keep the dialogue going. With that said, I wish you all the best as we wrap this segment up. God bless.